Welcome to 9 News.
Tonight, the deaths of a mum and her little girl. A breakthrough in the murder mystery that shocked Australia.
Caught at last. Father and son fugitives arrested. A body found at their hideout.
The Perth Police Blitz branded a dud for failing to stop a crime surge.
Plus, a major milestone in a little boy's health battle.
And how Fremantle's cashing in on a top 10 honour.
This is 9 News Perth with Tim McMillan and Emmy Kabansky.
Good evening. There's been a major breakthrough in the murder mystery that's gripped Australia. The deaths of a mother and daughter whose bodies were found 5 years and 1,000 kilometres apart. Oliver Peterson police have made an arrest.
Tim, this has just happened in the last few hours. A 41-year-old man has been arrested in Cessnock, New South Wales, by New South Wales police over the death of Carly Pearce-Stevenson. Remains were found in the Belangolo State Forest in 2010. Carly Pearce-Stevenson and her daughter Candice were last seen alive together in remote South Australia in 2008. Candice's remains were found in a suitcase in South Australia earlier this year, but they were only identified as mother and daughter last week. Yesterday it was revealed that more than $100,000 had been withdrawn from Carly's bank account and text messages were sent from her phone to make it appear as if she was alive. Today, the pair's family released a statement paying tribute to them, saying the sun doesn't shine as bright as it did, but the night is now lit with a few more stars. New South Wales police are expected to charge the 41-year-old with Carly's murder tonight. The investigation continues into her daughter's death. Emmy.
Ollie, thank you. Australia's most dangerous father and son are tonight in police custody, captured after 8 years on the run. The hunt for Gino and Mark Stocko have now become a murder investigation, with the body discovered at their hideout.
Cornered, captured and cuffed. Father and son fugitives Gino and Mark Stocko on their faces in the dirt at an isolated farmhouse, two of Australia's most wanted men. This is the moment Mark Stocko, blood on his face, is led into Dubbo Police Headquarters. He'd been questioned initially at the farm, then facing more interrogation inside the station. Father and son, though, were soon on the move again, taken in separate ambulances under tight guard to hospital for medical treatment.
A good result, 2 men in custody. The important thing is no police officers injured.
But behind, on the farm where they were caught, a distressing discovery. The body of a local farmer who'd been reported missing almost 3 weeks ago.
He has not been formally identified. However, he is consistent with who we believe is a 68-year-old man who has been missing since the 8th of October.
Police radio spread word of the fugitive's arrest in a typically understated way.
Are you able to confirm about Stocko, father and son?
I believe they've been caught out near Dunedoo.
But there was nothing understated in the intricate investigative work that led to the arrest almost 4 days after the pair was last seen. Detectives in Dubbo have been trying to find the missing farmer for whom the Stockos once worked. Early today, police found evidence of violence at the farmhouse and then his body.
The cause of death is not yet known and be pending a post-mortem.
Robbery and Serious Crime Squad detectives suspected the Stockos would head back to familiar territory, and with a search for the missing farmer underway, the property was in their sights.
Okay, it was a combination of things. It was reports yesterday that a suspicious vehicle was seen in the Gnu State Forest not far from Dunedoo, together with information supplied by another member of the community, which has actually led us directly to that property.
Officers began closing in on the farmhouse, getting nearby families and roadwork crews to clear the area.
Yeah, they kicked us off our job site and told us we had to get out.
Then, backed by an armoured command vehicle, police marksmen gradually tightened their grip. Gino and Mark Stocko realised they were trapped and surrendered just before midday.
Overall, this has been a very intense operation, which has spanned a number of states.
Now in custody in Dubbo, the men face intense interrogation about their possible role in the death of the Dunedoo farmer. In Dubbo, Simon Boda, 9 News.
A 12-week police blitz across Perth has been branded a failure for failing to stop a surge in crime. In most cases, crime figures have continued to soar despite Operation Sweep. Alice Pooley has this exclusive report.
It was meant to be a crackdown on a surging crime wave. 1,000 officers mobilised under Operation Sweep. Their job, stop the rise in assaults, robberies and burglaries. But 3 months on, the crime spike continues. In September, assaults, including domestic violence, surged 35% compared to the same period last year. 1,742 cases. That's 58 a day. Property damage jumped by 23%. Burglaries 15%, up to over 2,400.
What we're seeing is dramatic increases in crime like we've never seen before in Western Australia. We've now seen for the third month in a row a double-digit increase in crime.
Operation Sweep launched in August. There were no extra police. Existing officers were simply retasked. The opposition says that's led to both ongoing cases and detective work being neglected. The police union is also shocked by the recent statistics. It's demanding $4 million for overtime for officers so they can work around the clock.
To actually do more, you have to have more resources, more police and more hours on the front line.
Senior police today wouldn't comment on Operation Sweep's progress.
If the effort they're putting in isn't consistent with the results we expect, they'll have to change their effort.
Drug trafficking offences also skyrocketed last month, more than doubling to 347, the highest rate in 5 years. The number of murders, sexual assaults and arson offences are down. Operation Sweep officially wraps up in early November. Alice Pooley, 9 News.
We have some good news tonight on a Geraldton toddler hit by a car at the weekend. Ebony Ferranda, little Noah has woken from an induced coma.
Yes, Tim, Noah Archer's family has confirmed he is awake and breathing on his own. They say he woke from an induced coma overnight. Late this afternoon, they released this first photo of Noah awake from his hospital bed. You can see he's suffering quite severe injuries and has a lot of swelling to the head. They also released this statement on their GoFundMe page. They say Noah is awake, at least a little. He's breathing on his own now and moving lots, at times needing to be held so he doesn't pull out his tubes. The MRI thankfully showed no spinal injury, but he's still wearing a neck collar because of the swelling. Now, of course, Noah's recovering from injuries after being hit by a ute near his family's Geraldton home on Saturday. He's been in an induced coma for the past 4 days. His family has thanked the community for their support and prayers. Tonight, his parents remain by his bedside, and the latest information from the hospital tonight is that he remains in a stable condition. Emmy?
OK, thank you, Ebony. A road safety expert wants drivers to lose demerit points even if they're only doing 1 kilometre an hour over the limit. But the state government has dismissed the call, claiming there are more pressing priorities to tackle.
WA has been labelled as having the worst speeders in the country by road safety experts. So far this year, over 12,500 motorists have received driving bans for exceeding their demerit points. It's prompted experts to call for change.
It means that drivers have no fear of being caught losing their licence for speeds up to 10k above the limit. In practice, they drive as if the speed limit was 10k higher.
Professor Cameron says WA should introduce tougher demerit penalties, not just fines, for those who speed less than 10 kilometres an hour over the limit.
If you accumulate a lot of demerit points at low-level speeding, you're eventually going to lose your licence.
Well, I think it'll keep people on their toes, but I'm not one for it, no.
Maybe 1 kilometre over is a bit ridiculous.
The state government says a change isn't on their radar.
We don't see low-level speeding represented in our serious crash stats, and that's why I made the decision to leave the system as it was at status quo.
Professor Cameron says each month in WA, mobile speed cameras clock around 3,000 hours, but he says that's nowhere near enough and wants the state government to triple it to 9,000.
A bit rough, I think. Just not right.
Unfair?
Very unfair.
Rebecca Johns, 9 News.
A driver's walked away after flipping his car in Baldivis. The young man lost control on 80 Road around 9 p.m. last night. After hitting a tree, he sideswiped a street sign and took out a road barrier.
I couldn't believe that he actually got out of that car. It was a mess.
It's almost the same location where another car lost control on Monday.
A car's lost it off the street and just missed the tree. Nice skids on the road here and took off up the road.
Locals say speeding is a constant problem in the area.
Bad drivers have been put on notice for failing to get out of the way of police, ambulances and firefighters. The Road Safety Council says too many Perth motorists panic when sirens approach, and they're reminding us what to do.
In emergency situations, seconds count, which means confused drivers blocking emergency vehicles could be costing lives. With the busy summer period approaching, the Road Safety Commission has rated dealing with emergency vehicles as one of the most confusing things for WA drivers.
People freeze when they actually hear or see an emergency vehicle, or probably more concerning to me is that they just simply don't hear, they're not aware that an emergency vehicle is approaching.
The growing use of music devices a major factor.
I'm very concerned with what I see with the people wearing over-the-ear headphones. You know, and they're listening to loud music.
If you're approached by an emergency vehicle on the road, the best advice is to move as far left as possible onto the curb if need be. Indicate your intention so the emergency vehicle knows what you're doing, but whatever you do, don't break the law.
We have to all start thinking, if that fire truck's racing to my house to put out the fire in my home, what would I want other people to do?
Not only are you risking lives, you could also face hefty penalties. Failing to give way to an emergency services vehicle carries fines of up to $400, as well as the deduction of 4 demerit points. And it's not the only thing Perth drivers are confused about. We're also being warned about roundabouts, merging, U-turns, overtaking, as well as safe following distances. The rules can be found at the Road Safety Commission website. Ben Hennessy, 9 News.
A Perth banker allegedly involved in one of the world's biggest financial swindles has been forced to surrender his passport. Rabobank trader Paul Thompson is accused by the US of being part of a scheme to manipulate interest rates. He was released on bail from Hakea prison today so he could care for his sick son. The 49-year-old Dalkeith man has been forced to provide $800,000 in a personal undertaking and surety to the court.